The federal government of Nigeria earlier this week announced that the Abuja Kaduna train services would resume operations later this month. The services were suspended since March 28th by the Nigerian Railway Corporation after terrorists ambushed a moving train, killing some passengers and abducting at least 60 passengers in an incident that attracted widespread condemnation both at home and abroad. According to the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, the federal government has learned its lessons and has now put in place security measures to ensure the safety of passengers that are traveling that route. Well, Fidet Okhira is the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, and he joins us now to look at some of the measures being put in place for that. Good to have you on the program this afternoon. Thank you for joining Newsday.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Well,
to Nigerians.
The resumption of the Abuja Kaduna train service, could you detail to us in layman's terms, seeing as, you know, we are ordinary civilians, could you detail to us the concrete security plans that have been put in place to beef up security? In the press releases, statements that have been released, it does say that it has been beefed up, but what exactly are those concrete measures?
Okay, for the ordinary Nigerian, we are working with the security system of the country, including the military, the police, civil defense, and also we're introducing technology. As the minister said, we are now in position to at least know real-time locations of our train, and at the same time have the visual of the train and the immediate surroundings. And we are deploying a lot from the organized security networks, civil defense and the police, uniform and non-uniform, and at the same time the organized community security on that line. And we are not limiting it to Abuja, Kaduna. We are taking it to Lagos, Ibadan, and Itakpe Warri. You know, in terms of security, don't go into details. I think we know that we have improved on our security, and a real-time solution, not just for the railway. The government is developing that so that they ensure that Nigerians are safe, either on the train, on the road, or in their homes.
Now,
because they are long time, they are going to be a normal patrol, that is a helicopter patrol and a drone patrol. Not just to patrol, but also to react if there are incidences, which we pray won't happen again.
Well, definitely, we do pray it doesn't happen again. Now, we are hearing reports that Abuja to Kaduna train services will resume this November, but this comes at a time when the UK is warning of threats of terror attacks in some states in the north, Kaduna inclusive. Public places, transport terminals, including train networks, are not exempted. So is it really advisable at this time to resume train services when the threats are still active?
As I always say, I'm a professional trail operator, and there are people who will advise us whether it's safe to run or safe not to run, and we are working with those people as recognized by Nigerians. So we are not working in isolation. We are working with a team of experts as regards Nigerian security. They are in position to tell us when to start the train and when to stop, and we are going to listen to them.
Well, hopefully you're in a position to answer this next question. If not, it's understandable. Back in March, the former Transportation Minister, Rotimi Amechi, he went on record to bitterly complain about the tedious process of procuring integrated security surveillance systems, monitoring systems. He spoke about the red tape and the confusion that was to get anything moved up, and he's an entire minister. I'm wondering what changed within that time and now in order for those processes to be streamlined and, of course, for the security to be beefed up. And I do know that it's not directly a railway situation, but if you have any knowledge on how that was eased up, if you could share that with us.
So what we are doing is to ensure that we have the basic minimum required for safety and security on the train. The process for a larger security, which is not only limited to Nigerian Railway, is still ongoing. That's what the former minister was referring to. So we have to plant some relays, some other things on the system. But as this thing happens, we have more development coming up on stage, and those we can tap in and coexist and cooperate to ensure that the rail route and the trains are safe. We are collaborating with them to ensure that the confidence of the traveling public is restored. So to say you are dedicating security to rail, just for rail, I think it's a thing we have looked into, and it's going to be elaborate, not just, as I said earlier, not just for rail, but for Nigerians.
Now, at the time of the attack back in March, there was some sort of controversy over how many people were on board, release of the manifest, and those other issues. What measures have been put in place to ensure proper bookkeeping and records going forward?
You see, when things happen in Nigeria, you have a lot of experts. We have the manifest of the train, we have the back end in Lagos and in Abuja, and we made a press release telling them the number of people who bought tickets, 393, and the number of people who actually bought it, which was 362. Well, people decided to choose who to listen to, that they counted the number of seats that the train is supposed to carry, and assumed that the trains were fully occupied to the brim. They gave the number of seats on the train. That's just the difference. Now we are going to include profiling of passengers on the train, not just, it's not like that in developed world. You can go to a train station and buy your ticket, nobody asks for your passport. But being the situation we have found ourselves, we decided to profile passengers. We are collaborating with NIPSI and ensure that not only that, when you come to board the train, by the time you flash your ticket, your actual self will show on the monitor where you see it. If you are not the one, you can the gate will not open for you. So we have done that, and we're also introducing a kiosk at the station. Instead of only buying online or coming to a station to buy, you can go to ticket dispensing machines. Those are the other facility we are trying to introduce to ensure that the rush and the proper profiling of passengers collaborating with NIPSI is done. That one is already in place. So by the time we are coming back, people need to have their NIPS, because at the time you are applying for the application, the system will ask for your NIP number to ensure that the person buying the tickets is buying for the person that is actually traveling. And if you are a visitor, somebody have to find a way to identify the person. That's where we are as regards profiling the passengers and ensuring that proper security, where the number of, as I said earlier, will be increased, both uniform and non-uniform. And
okay.
The IG has promised that the more security men will be deployed, professional ones, counter-terrorism, mobile policemen will be deployed. And as I speak, an aerial command has been created for the Abuja Kaduna. Like before now, the area commander was based in Zaria for the railway system. But now we have a full area command to be based in Abuja.
Well, we've spoken about the safety of the passengers. Let's now speak about the safety of the railway operators and those that are working on the railways, as we know that they will be the first line of defense if, God forbid, they ever encounter any danger. They would need weaponry, they would need intelligence. And I think there was also discussion about them having stations close to the railway line so they can be closer in proximity in case anything goes wrong. But we also know that as of November of last year, that the railway workers threatened to strike, a 3-day strike over their welfare. They were upset that some deals were not upheld, and also housing allowances, salaries, those kinds of things. Once again, wondering what has changed since then and now, if there has been extra injection of funds into the Railway Corporation on behalf of the government in an effort to allow for these beefing up of security and for the enhancement of the security for those who work on the railway lines. But what about their own personal welfare? How do they feel about about moving forward with this new, improved, beefed up railway line?
The security is not only meant for the passengers, it's so meant for the operators, the staff at the station, the staffs on the train. As for welfare, you will recall that we had a presidential approval for the allowances. The minister was able to secure that, but we are still going through the process to regularize the new allowances that should be paid to rail workers. At the moment, we are with the Salary and Wages Commission, and we hope before the year runs out, we'll be able to get the necessary consent to implement the presidential approval. The board and the management and the union are working together to ensure the right thing is done, so that the regularization by the relevant body of the presidential approval is achieved. The minister has taken it and is talking to the relevant authority and system to ensure this is achieved in a very short distance. We have now included the passengers on the staff, also on the passenger insurance scheme. And as I said, we are praying that such a thing never happen, because nobody really can start trying to benefit from the insurance. So we have reproduced the staff train operators on the insurance scheme, apart from the one provided by the federal government on every staff that work the federal government. We are having an additional insurance scheme that cover the passenger, to also cover the train driver, the guard, the ticket checker, the cleaners. That's where we are presently with the welfare of staff.
Well, just last month, we had the Nigerian Union of Railway Workers warning that resumption of train services should not be rushed into. So I would just like to know if between that time and now, they've been properly, brought up to speed on what has been put in place, if they're on board with resuming train services. Have they been trained, on how to implement all these procedures that have been put in place, the profiling that you talked about, so that nobody drops the ball?
So the process is ongoing, and we are all working together with the union, and no step taken in this present system that are managed that we don't take the workers along. I just came out from a meeting to attend to this live program. I was in a meeting with the management and union on the next step we are having, and the next stage we are going to take. The training will take place on the new system, and they will be carried along fully. And they are part of it, and they are providing also their knowledge and understanding.
Are there any plans to honor the lives of the 8 or 9 passengers who lost their lives during the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train? To my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the most deadly of attacks on that particular railway line. So it's a moment in history. Any plans to memorialize them in any way along the premises of the railway line, A, to stand as a deterrent of sorts to those who might think that they can attack the railway line again, and of course, the second, to honor their lives and also serve as a memorial for that time and for the, the brave engagement that your railway workers engaged in, the security forces that were present that day. Anything to memorialize their lives? Any discussion about that?
Yeah, we are thinking of doing something, but as a person, I don't like celebrating such a bad situation. But we have to leave it in an act of our calendar, and because it was a bad situation and it was a bad moment for all of us, not just the Nigerian railway workers, but for Nigerians. So it's good we remember that day, and it's also good we pray for the soul of those who lost their life and those who were able to escape with you, and eventually the release of those that were ahead. So we've been relating with them, and I think we've come up with something, although no concrete arrangements in place yet. We hope before the first anniversary, we'll be able to do something meaningful.
Now, having covered the Abuja to Kaduna railway line, I would like us to talk about specific security measures that have been put in place to safeguard other railway infrastructure across the country. Have these same security measures that you talked about been implemented on that Abuja to Kaduna route? Have they also been implemented on other railway routes across the country, or are you still looking at doing so in future? And in the meantime, what are you doing to safeguard the lives of passengers that are plying those other routes and even the railway workers?
So anything we are doing on Abuja Kaduna is being replicated on Itakpe-Warri, Lagos Ibadan, as I said earlier. We are not isolating any method or system we are bringing into Abuja Kaduna. We are extending them to the entire Nigerian railway, at least for the modernized track, so that we get the benefit of having secured operation. And you see, what we face is in this country today is that thing happened March 28th because it affected human beings. That's why it became. But we had other serious things that have been happening. People vandalizing the track, and which leads to drivers to be extra cautious, and we have to spend extra resources to ensure that the tracks are monitored and watched so that the train don't go and run into a vandalized track. And we are appealing to community and the security to let's redouble our effort to ensure that this thing is stopped. The case of vandalization of track is rampant and is causing us a lot of problem and resources, because you can imagine a train is leaving Lagos to Ibadan, and between Ibadan and Abeokuta, the track is vandalized, clips are removed, and we just have to put the clips back before the train can continue. So we are deploying all this technology and human resources at extra costs. So what is happening in Abuja Kaduna is getting improved security and safety measures are also being deployed to the other tracks.
We spoke about the welfare of the railway workers. I'm wondering if that 95% salary increase is something that is still on the table, because as of September, that was the discussion. In fact, the NUR president stated that the tenure of the last Minister of Transportation, he was trying to implement it, but was unable to. And now we know we have a new Minister of Transportation. So that 95% salary increase, what is the railway, the National Union of Railway Workers' relationship with the current transportation minister?
So far, so good. We are expecting the minister he has been to railway, but this time he's coming to pay and meet with the workers and and the management. It would have been this week, but something happened. We hope it's going to be next week. The relationship is quite cordial, and we are trying to improve on the relationship we had before. And the 95%, as I said, is just for the National Salary and Wages Commission to sanction it and pass it to budget, and everybody will start enjoying the proof that the president has graciously approved for Nigerian railway workers. So we are working hard, both the management and union board and the minister and the PAMSEC. We are working hard, joining our head together to see the easiest way to move it forward and ensure that it's implemented within the year.
Mr. Fidet Okhira, Managing Director, Nigerian Railway Corporation, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.